Hello, and welcome to Sprint Innovate 2024 Design Thinking Training. My name is Al McLeod. I'm a retired IT executive. I collaborate with various academic institutions in Manitoba on events like this one. I'm also a startup advisor, trainer, and mentor. I'm the co-founder of an organization, a startup called Idea Miners. I usually do this course with my colleague, Leanne Jones. However, she's really busy with her job right now, and so I'm going solo this time. So the goals for this course this training are, first of all, to provide you with an overview of innovation and design thinking. Then we're going to do a case study-based design thinking training course that it's maybe not the ideal way to learn design thinking, but it's the only way you can do it in an event like this. Then provide some guidance, some tools and guidance for a 48-hour challenge. And then we'll do some pitch training after that, which is, first of all, an example pitch based on the case study we're doing. And then pitch training 101 by my colleague, Matt Skobrick, who is a local entrepreneur and also a pitch trainer at Northforge. So let's talk about innovating using design thinking. So the innovation sweet spot is something we talk about. It's the intersection of these three lenses. Desirability, do customers want it and need it? Also called the human lens or people lens. Feasibility, can we build it? Whatever the idea is, can we actually develop it with the technology we have available? And should we do it? Is there a viable business model for this idea? Design thinking says to start through the desirability lens or the people-centered lens, because in that way you'll be able to work on real customer problems that they want solved. So this is the design thinking model. And I love this tagline: don't fall in love with the solution, fall in love with the problem. And what that really means is there's two stages to design thinking: the problem stage, which includes empathy and define, and the solution stage, ideate, prototype, and test. And when we say don't fall in love with the solution, fall in love with the problem, we're saying don't go and bring your solution in here before you understand what the problem is. And so typically you start out with some kind of wicked problem, because design thinking is really used only when you have difficult problems. It's not necessary for a simple problem. So you typically have a very complicated problem here. And then what you end up with is if you just go by this and you try and develop a solution without talking to anybody, you're going to not do it properly. So the idea is here you start in the problem phase and you begin with empathy. So this is where you talk to customers, observe them, and really kind of try to really understand or empathize with them so that you can understand their point of view. And you're trying to figure out what are their problems. Define stage, you take all that information you got, you do research, customer interview insights, things like that, and you put them together. You then try to reframe the problem from this wicked problem you have initially into a customer problem that you can solve. Then what you do is you take that new problem definition and you develop ideas for it. So you come up with as many ideas as you can, as many as 100. Come up with lots of ideas. The more ideas, the better. And then what you do is you actually take the ideas that you have, you figure out which one will best solve the problem, and you develop a prototype for it, which you test with customers. And this may look like a linear process, but it's not. It's very, you iterate. So you can actually go back and test the ideate or test the prototype and all the way back to empathy if you need, whatever you need to do to solve the problem. It is not a linear process. So that's design thinking. So let's look at one of the most well-known examples of successful design thinking. So in 2004, the Bank of America hired design agency IDEO to boost their enrollment numbers. They asked them the question, how might we encourage new customers to open bank accounts? So IDEO put together a team based on with people from the bank plus IDEO experts, and they got a bunch of customers and potential customers together and met with them. One woman rounded up in her checkbook for easier calculations and to provide a bit of a buffer for herself. Single mothers struggle with savings. They had nothing to put aside, and even a small amount saved is good, provided a financial buffer. They could allow them to manage their financial security. So the problem was then reframed as, how might we help families save money in the defined stage? So as you can see, that's a more customer-centric problem that we heard exactly from the customers. So then IDEO put together a diverse team of product managers and finance experts and software engineers and operations people from the bank. They had 20 brainstorming sessions, came up with 80 product concepts and one favorite idea. The team created a cartoon video of this idea, which is called the Keep the Change program, and they tested it in an online survey with 1,600 participants. The way this works, this concept, is that you have a debit card attached to a bank account. If you spend $2.30 on a cup of coffee, it'll charge your debit card $3, but it'll take the change, 70 cents, and move it into another account. And by the end of the year, the change from your various purchases will accumulate into some number of hundreds of dollars. So the Keep the Change program really took off quickly. First year attracted 2 million customers, since grown to 12 million, and it's still operating today. They've saved a total of over $2 billion. And 3 in 5 new Bank of America customers choose to enroll in the program with a 99% program retention. So now let's look at the case study we have, and let's start with the problem space, of course, and empathize, define steps. So here's our wicked problem. We're going to do a case study about a veterinary practice software company called Vetter. And the question they asked is, how might we convert pet owners to paying customers? And I'm one of the people that is working on this problem. So the first step is empathy. And so why would you empathize? And you want to understand what customers care about, identify the real customer problem to solve. And if you have assumptions, get rid of all those assumptions that'll stifle your innovation capabilities, and consider all possibilities for the customers and their needs. Again, you're not assuming, you're assuming that you don't know what the problem is. You're trying to understand the perspective of the customer, right? You're trying to step into the customer's shoes to feel their experience. You can observe them, engage, watch, and listen. One thing to understand is if you observe, you'll learn more than if you just listen and engage with them. Secondary research is to learn the broader context and perspectives using the internet, social media, AI research, getting an understanding of the stakeholders and systems that could be affected, understanding what recent innovations have happened in this area or maybe adjacent areas, looking at challenges and solutions in this area, and getting facts and figures you need to understand the context of the challenge. So here's some secondary research insights. So we pulled together some numbers from a survey. We found out that there's over 15,000 veterinarians and over 3,800 practices in Canada. There's 5 veterinary colleges across Canada, none in Manitoba. We went from 7.7 to 7.9 million dogs and 8.1 to 8.5 million cats in Canada last year. And we went from 56% to 60% of Canadian households with at least one pet. We also found out that pet owners love their pets. 98% of pet owners say their pets improve their quality of life, and 94% consider their pet a family member. Here's some more research we found. We found out that interacting with animals has been shown to decrease levels of cortisol and lower blood pressure. It can also reduce loneliness, increase feelings of social support, and boost your mood. But there is a crisis in pet healthcare. So you've seen that there's more pets every year, but there are also more vets retiring than graduating. And so this is leading to a shortage of veterinarians, and there's less people applying to the veterinary colleges. So this has become a real challenge for people sometimes to get service for their pets. So the next thing we did is we talked to our sponsor at Vetter, and it provided us information that pet owners do use the software today, but they only use the Vetter software for appointment confirmation, and that therefore they're a non-paying user. They wouldn't pay for that service. And community vets, they use Vetter in their practice, and they see limited value using it for customers, other than the appointment confirmation. But they also point out that many vets are not digitally savvy in their businesses. So here's some more insights. The global veterinary services market is 142 billion in 2023, expected to grow to 193 billion in 2027, a sizable industry. But Vetter's growth has slowed down in recent years, and they're looking for growth opportunities. But Vetter has the highest market share amongst vets in Canada and very high customer sat. And they also have an excellent IT team, And the Vetter app has a full pet medical history in the database, a full set of APIs or application program interfaces to be able to access the data from outside the program. And it's also cloud-based. And Vetter does have a mission to improve overall pet health, which is interesting. So last thing the sponsor told us about is these design principles. So they want us to consider these things when we're developing our solutions. They want us to provide significant value for pet owners. They want to pave the way for other services as well. They don't want to disintermediate vets from pet owners. They don't want to get in between them and interfere with the pet owners being able to work with the veterinarians. They want to make vet practices more digital, efficient, and effective. They're not very much that today. They're thinking about establishing a pet owner community. Is there an opportunity to do that? And they're also interested in us exploring AI opportunities with our rich Vetter data that is in the database. So the next thing we did is we start talking to customers. And when you're doing that, you want to listen more than you talk. You want to ask open-ended questions. So those are questions that can't be answered by a yes or no. So instead of saying, do you like working with your vet, which is yes or no, you can say, tell us about the last time you went to the vet when your pet was sick. So two different things, right? One is going to give you a story. The other one will give you a yes or no. Use the 5 whys technique. So 5 whys is a technique whereby if you ask a question and you get an answer back, you ask why again, and you continue to drill down until you get the root story, the root cause. You want to set up your roles before the interview. And then once you finish your interview, you want to right away dump your interview notes into a tool that will show you. So here's the choreography of an interview. So if you're going to run an interview, start with a warm-up, a couple minutes, just building rapport with the customer. You want to introduce the context for the interview. So what is it we're talking about today? So we're talking about pets and pet health and veterinarians. You want to collect some demographics. So you want to understand who they are, how much money they make, what kind of work they do, all that kind of stuff. And in this case, their experience with pets. They want to explore the customer's worldview, take 15 minutes to ask open-ended questions to understand their point of view. This is the bulk of the interview. And then, of course, wrap up and thank them for their time. So then we started interview planning. So we held interviews with pet owners at various stages of the pet owner journey so we could see things from all sides. So we talked to those with older pets or pet owners who adopted from shelters, first-time pet owners who are planning to get a pet soon, pet owners at various levels of experience with pets, pet owners with multiple pets, and serial pet owners, and people with service animals. So we tried to talk to all different kinds of people. So here's some of the questions we asked. These are open-ended questions. Tell us about your pet. What does she mean to your family? If they have a young pet, we asked them to tell us about any healthcare experiences they had so far, and what was the first year like owning a pet? What would you do differently if you could, and why? For first-time pet owners, we asked them about any concerns they had about getting a pet. For pet owners with older pets, we asked about their concerns, especially with healthcare. For experienced serial pet owners, we asked what advice they give a first-time pet owner. We asked them to tell us about a time when your pet was very sick and you took her to the vet. What happened? We asked what sources you use for pet healthcare information and if they have any concerns about that pet and getting pet health information. We want to we asked them to talk about working with their vet, what works well and what could be improved. We asked if they're part of any pet owner communities and what they're looking for from the community. And we asked if there's anything we didn't ask but should have. And finally, we asked if there's anybody else they know who we could interview and if they'd be willing to look at a prototype later. So here is the tool we talked about. It's got these 4 pieces to it. Influences. So what influences these people? What are the tasks or goals they're trying to accomplish? What do they think and feel? So this is really truly getting to the empathy piece because you're actually trying to interpret their feelings. And then what are the pains they're trying to avoid? So from influences perspective, they're primarily influenced by social media and internet sources, but they don't know what to trust. They're influenced by veterinarians, but they have very limited access there. So they also, what are they trying to do? They're trying to provide a better quality of life for an aging dog, understand the pet's medical situation, like their meds and ailments. They want to provide a great life for a new pet, want to be knowledgeable and a responsible pet owner, and trying not to go broke due to expensive pet care. Some of the other insights we got back from all of our customers are we made lots of mistakes in our early days with the pet, so no regret there. First-time pet owners were feeling overwhelmed and anxious about their decision. Second-time pet owners said they'd like to do a better job this time. And most people said there has to be a better, more modern way for pet care. They're not really very happy with the state of digital in healthcare. We love our vet, but they're a small team with limited resources. And pains, dog is older, hard to get good medical care, very hard to get good information to make decisions. Lack of veterinary specialists for complex or rare illnesses, we heard a couple times. And new pet owners are looking for where they can get guidance. Then we talked to another stakeholder, and that's veterinarians, who are, frankly, Vetter's main customer. So their influences are the usual ones: Veterinary Association and Canadian vet colleges. They're trying to run a successful veterinary practice during a very challenging time for veterinarians. That's why so many are retiring early, trying to keep up with all the responsibilities of running a small business and being a medical professional. And they had a lot of thoughts and feelings we pulled away from them. One of them is they'd like to have a digital practice. They could be so much more efficient. They also wish that pet owners would listen about preventative pet health. There could be a lot of needless expense and work done. Many pet owners don't really understand what they're getting into, they told us. They said that the first 6 months sets the foundation for a successful pet parent journey. And they said it's really tough because they have a small team with limited resources. One thing I like that they said is that Reddit and Facebook aren't recommended veterinary health information channels. That's a good one. So from a pains perspective, customers struggle with veterinary costs, very big challenge for them. As you know, human healthcare is government funded, but veterinary is not. It's a user pay. Veterinary storage there's a veterinary shortage, a competition for employees, as we talked about before. There's a lack of digital platform, very inefficient process with customers, and not enough time with customers. So lots of good information from those two groups. And we looked and we spent time on Facebook and Reddit, and we actually spent time going into each of those and interacting with the services to see what they were like. And we actually went in, asked questions, and pretended to be pet owners. And what we found was that it's really a problem. It's a dumpster fire, I should say. That, you know, and the Reddit and Facebook groups aren't recommended veterinary health information channels. That's for sure. A lot of bad information. Sometimes people would be saying, "Oh, I don't think your vet is right," and you know, all sorts of things that when we read through them, we thought, "No, this is not really very good information." Well-meaning people, maybe, but not good information. So, according to Humane Canada, Canadian shelters took in over 100,000 cats and dogs in 2019. Remember, veterinarians said that most new pet owners don't understand the level of responsibility they're taking. But pets being turned into shelters is only the tip of the iceberg. Many people end up disappointed when the decisions they've made end up resulting in poor health, lack of socialization, or other serious issues with their pets. And so they don't turn them into shelters, maybe, but they're certainly not able to live their best life. We also found out from the CTV News, August 18th, 2023, that a pet crisis situation where more pets are being surrendered in Winnipeg, and that is still the case. Here's the top reasons why people give up their pets. The time factor, they just don't understand that they should want to spend a lot of time with their pet, whether it be walking their pet or feeding their pet or playing with their pet or whatever it is, taking your pet with you when you go places, a lot of time. The lack of experience from new pet owners, they really don't know what to expect, and sometimes it's overwhelming for them. Change in life situation. If you, for example, change your where you live, or change jobs, or get married, all those kind of things can cause you to want to give up your pet. Animal health and age. When animals get sick, they can become very costly. They do become very costly, and a lot of people struggle with that. And as pets get older, they of course get less healthy. Boredom or disinterest, which typically means you shouldn't have got a pet in the first place. Unwanted litters from not spaying or neutering a pet and ending up with unwanted litters. Behavioral issues is just not properly training and socializing your pet. And finally, the financial factor. Pets are expensive. They cost a lot of money. So those are the primary reasons. So the next step is, now that we've finished our empathize stage, is to define. So why define? We want to understand more about the problem so we know where to focus the solution. And we want to learn more about the problem to clearly understand what the solution needs to address and focus on. And we look at the human parts of the problem, not just the business parts, and deeply understand the problems customers have, the ideal customers that we want, and customers' unmet needs. So here's a persona that we put together based on what we saw shaping in terms of potential ideal customers. And that's the inexperienced pet owner. And our composite persona we put together is featured pet owner Sylvia. And Sylvia is a 28-year-old single social media marketing consultant who's getting a puppy in a month. She's a technology and innovation enthusiast, and just an overall person who really knows how to use information and really wants a lot of information. So she wants to be have a happy and healthy pet, and to be a knowledgeable and responsible pet owner, developing great habits with her pet and having great experiences with her pet. Her pain points are she's concerned about successfully integrating a pet into a life that's already pretty busy, and she's anxious about the new responsibilities, and she knows she has a lot to learn, but she doesn't know where to go for guidance and support. She's concerned about as well a lack of digital services and the cost of pet healthcare. So what we did was we put together a mind map, and we'll talk more about mind mapping later. It's just a way of taking a topic, like in this case, the pet ownership journey, and blowing out that single topic into a variety of brainstorming around that topic. So in this case, what we did was we came up with all of these different things that have to be done in like that first, what the vets talked about, that first 6 months, we did 12 months, the first 12 months of the pet ownership journey. And then what we did was took that and we laid it out in this kind of roadmap. And then we just focused on the first 6 months. So as you can see, things like research, should you get a pet, stuff like that. Should you go with a breeder versus a shelter, or should you do a rescue, or maybe even start with a foster program to get used to pets? Do you want to match your pet to your lifestyle, space, and budget? Think about, trying to estimate the cost. Next, you're going to pick a pet. You're going to try to select the kind of pet and where to get her. You're going to do some breed research, consider pet insurance, do that kind of math. You're going to find a vet. You're going to look for one with the right skills and hours, location, services, reputation matters. And of course, are they tech savvy or not? And then we just continue to go, right? Prepare your home, bring your pet home. These are all things. And all of them come with work to be done, decisions to be made, and time. And so this, just the first 6 months, can be very overwhelming for people. And that's what we started to present back to some of the customers we've been talking to. We call it laying the foundation journey, those first 6 months. As I said here, this could be a 10 to 20-year journey, because that's pets, cats and dogs in particular, live somewhere between 10 to 20 years. So anyway, so now what we did is we consolidate what we learned from our empathize and define steps into these insights, and we put them together using sticky notes on a whiteboard, and then we group and cluster them into themes that are alike, that are related, and then we use our team to come up with a problem statement from those insights. So here's some of the insights we got from our interviews, and then we cluster them into themes. So research, info and access, digital services, pet health concerns, and inexperienced pet owners. So we took all of those insights we had and we clustered into these themes. Our team met, and what we did was we came up with a problem statement. And the first thing we did is we kind of came up with this thing called a point of view statement. So in a point of view statement, you're trying to speak from your customer's point of view. So inexperienced pet owners like Sylvia need a way to get effective guidance and support because she wants to provide the best quality of life for her new pet. That's as if she's speaking. So the problem statement we came up to support that is, how might we provide guidance and support to inexperienced pet owners so they can live their best life with their pets? And that is our problem statement. So to summarize, if we want to apply step one, empathy, in your challenge, the first thing is to think about who are the customers and stakeholders. You have your challenge statement. Who are your customers and who else is involved in this? Can you use other students or teachers or families or kind of your team, or are the people you can easily reach out to who could be the customers of related to your challenge? You can look for customer stories and surprising insights when you talk to customers. We call those aha moments. And so, for example, in the Bank of America example, that's somebody who was rounding up in her checkbook. It was that aha moment. They want to understand the big picture using your secondary research through, the web, LinkedIn, or AI, wherever you get your secondary research from, and then also absolutely ask really good questions in your business rep interview. Applying step 2 or define to take action in your challenge. You want to look at what insights stood out, what really mattered to me. In our case, some of the insights that stood out to me are things like some of the words the vet said. New pet owners aren't ready to take on the job. The fact that it's challenging that first 6 months lays down the pet owner journey. Some of those insights I think are really key. Then you want to develop your persona and focus on it. So you can use that persona now as really as if it's a real human being, a real person, and then you can actually use that in your thinking. You want to keep the customer at the center of everything you do, and then write your reframed problem statement so it can be seen and used. So now let's talk about the solution space for our case study: ideate, prototype, and test. So here's our original problem statement, wicked problem, and here's our new problem statement, restated or reframed. How might we provide guidance and support to inexperienced pet owners so they can live their best life with their pets? And so step 3 is to ideate. So why do you want to ideate? You're transitioning from learning about the problem to creating and exploring solutions. You're going to think beyond, build on the ideas of others, and remove constraints so that you can actually come up with really, really interesting new ideas. And you're going to start exploring solutions, right? You're going to brainstorm ways to solve those unmet needs of those target customers you're looking at. You're going to do it fast and not focus on quality or feasibility. And then later you can discuss the ideas, clarify, evaluate. So here's our first ideation tool. It's called Crazy Eights. This is a really cool one, I think. And part of the reason is because it's visual. And so what I find is if I'm just talking to someone, you can come up with ideas. But when you're being visual, when you're actually writing, it doesn't matter really. As you can see, I'm not exactly an artist. But as you draw, you're using your brain differently, and I find it very helpful. So Crazy Eights, what happens is you take a piece of paper, divide it into 8 pieces. Somebody facilitates the session, and let's say you have 5 people in your team. And one facilitator, they'll say, okay, so put a minute on the clock and you start drawing your first idea. So in this case, I drew a chat idea. After a minute, they'll say, okay, so do your second idea. In this case, I did a wellness wizard. And then you come to your third idea, etc. So after 8 minutes, you'll have 8 times 5, up to 40 ideas. Because one of the things you can do is if I come up with this wellness wizard, I could take another shot at it in the next minute and actually make it better. But that's the idea. That's called Crazy Eights. It's one of my favorite ideation techniques. Group mind mapping is another cool one. So first thing you do is you take your opportunity statement. How might we provide guidance and support to inexperienced pet owners so they can live their best life with their pets? Write your opportunity in the middle of the page. And then what you do is you use up to 3 levels of brainstorming to come up with new ideas. So your first one is your preliminary ideas. So as a group, brainstorm ideas, and people came up with, okay, so how about wellness advice or digital health services and e-store, finance? And so once you've come up with a bunch of ideas and you're kind of stalled out, you move to the next step. And then what you do is you blow out those intermediate nodes, this first level, into more levels. So let's take wellness as advice, for example, or actually I'll take digital health services. So digital health services, there's a chat function, telepath health, reminders, 24/7 emergency and appointments. So these are all blown out from just the digital health one. Here's one, journey guidance. So with journey guidance, we've got a how-to YouTube channel on dental care, grooming, etc. Scientific research that could come from vets and veterinary colleges. You get the point. The idea is that you blow out this mind map, based on generally coming back out here and one by one brainstorming around them. But the next thing is kind of cool. So then what you can do is you can go from node to node. And here, so we've got digital health services and convenience, and let's combine some things here. A lot of innovation, by the way, is about combining. So if we combine chat, appointment, and 24/7 emergency and telepet health with mobile services and a nurse practitioner model, you could actually have a very interesting service where you've got chat and telepet health with a nurse practitioner versus a vet, and it could be a vector fit, almost like our some of the services that we provide in human health care for our system in Manitoba, right? So that's the idea behind group mind mapping. So as you can see, you can come up with lots of ideas in a short period of time. Individual brainwriting is about giving people time, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever it is, to come up with ideas and write them out. And then once they come up with those ideas, when you run out of time, everybody hands their ideas to the next person in line, and gets a person and then gets a new set of ideas to work on. And then what you do is you enhance or build on those ideas. So if I have the first idea, apt to guide and experienced users, when I hand it to the next person, they would try and come up with more ideas around that. So let's talk about group brainstorming next. Everybody, I think, has heard of brainstorming. Not everyone does it well. So one of the most important things is facilitation. So when you're facilitating, you want to follow something like these ideal rules of brainstorming. Deferring judgment means having your facilitator ask for ideas from people. And then when you get those ideas in, you don't comment on them right away, unless you say great idea and you just go. But you don't say, this is a bad idea or not a good idea or something like that. Encouraging wild idea is to really get excited when people come up with out of the box ideas or really, really wild ideas. You want to build on the ideas of others, and you do that by saying and. So if I have an idea, you could say, oh, that's great, and then you add to my idea as opposed to criticize my idea. You want to stay focused on the topic, have one conversation at a time, be visual, and go for quantity. The way to have great ideas is to have lots of ideas. And that's just the way it is. Quantity breeds quality. And that's the job of the facilitator in your team, by the way. You really need someone to do that. And so now we're going to look at this video from IDEO, who is one of the leaders in design thinking.
All right, team. Thanks for coming for a brainstorm today. We have a really interesting topic. The local zoo, the visitors are down 20%. So how might we boost the number of visitors to the zoo? This is a serious problem for them. They want to stay open. They need more funding, all this kind of good stuff. So let's spend a few moments now first and get a few ideas down. Remember, we're going for quantity. Let's see how many ideas we can get. And also, there's so many good ideas out there. Let's push ourselves, try to get closer to the ridiculous. That might be brilliant. All right, so I'll start us off. I had a date night. So then you might hang out with the animals that are in action. You know what I mean? All right, what else? What else you got? Oh, yeah. What do you got?
What if we do a dress up like your favorite animal day? So it's like a costume theme thing.
Very cool.
What about zoo pop-up at places that kids frequent, the malls, school, parks? Home Depot right now has programs for little kids to build birdhouses and stuff like that. So it could be all these different crafts, but they're sort of animal lessons. So kids learn. And
I have a night camping, so you get to camp up for the night. So let's get 5 or 10 more.
so I figure loyalty cards work for airlines and for burritos. So why not have it work for the zoo?
Building out the whole celebrity thing. What if we pretend that animals are celebrities and we give out like a gossip magazine as an advertisement?
So for an hour every day, they vacate the cages and you get to go swing on the bars and everything that the monkeys do turn playground.
That's awesome. What we'll do next is we'll look at these and look for some themes and cluster a couple. And then I think we should even prototype 1 or 2 of these and then take them over to the zoo. It's going to be great.
So one of the most important things about brainstorming, by the way, is at the beginning, if you notice, the facilitator let people come up with ideas on their own for a couple of minutes. That's really important because if you have people who are more introverted, that's gives them a chance to participate without everybody just starting to scream, shout their answers out. and make sure you give people a chance to participate. And a lot of people think best on their own a bit, and if you give them that, they come up with some great ideas, and then you bring the team in to brainstorm together. And so here's our ideas we came up with in our brainstorm. Things like a nurse practitioner visit, a mobility service, a keep the change account for insurance premiums, digitizing workflows, a keep the change for a social cause, pet service locator. And then what happened was actually at the end, we came up with some really wild ideas like creating a vet technology council to help steer our products. I like this one too, is buying veterinary practices from retiring vets and operating a vet clinic chain. This idea came from someone in our team who's an insurance person. And this is one of the things that happens sometimes in the insurance industry with insurance brokers, is that insurance companies invest in those brokers or provide loans for them. And then what they actually do is they can acquire them as well. And it's just a way of actually getting really, really close to your customers. Anyway, so those are some of that's our brainstorming. And then what we did was we clustered them. So now we came up with these 5 clusters: information, finances, e-store, digital services, and community. And so once we do that, we then vote. We have people vote on them, and we say, okay, the 2 we like to take forward are information and digital services. And what we've done is we've clustered all these ideas, smaller ideas like reminders and alerts, pet service locator. All of these things are really digital services for to make it more convenient for customers. Whereas these ones are more information based to help with the guidance aspect and support aspect. And then, of course, that doesn't mean we can't take a look at these other things later. They're really good ideas. They just may not be the first priority. So what did we do then is we created, this is the solution, is called Vetter's Digital Healthcare Platform. And what we have is we have a couple aspects to it. One is pet owners will be using something called the Fur Life app. So this is a new app that we will develop that has things like guided wellness apps, vet video consultations, chat, medical information, 24/7 on call, regular vet services, digital appointment booking, community, and more. And so this is your kind of guidance and support that we've been talking about for new pet owners or inexperienced pet owners. Then the community veterinarians also get a lot. So what we're doing is taking the Vetter app and building on it to really create a much stronger digital platform that isn't just digital for their back office, but also digital with the customer. So they have a digital practice with workflows with customers, chat, telepet health, all the other things we said. And the Vetter teams will provide the development and support for the platform and all users. We'll do content development, AI development, and all those kind of things. So it's great. That is our new system. So the concept we wrote up, it's called Digital Guidance and Support for Pet Owners. And it's a new digital platform plus Fur Life mobile app. So the problem being solved is that inexperienced pet owners are often anxious and concerned about making a 10 to 20-year life decision. But the tech-savvy ones are looking for digital solutions to the problem of successfully integrating a new companion into their life and having the best possible information to make the dozens of decisions they'll be faced with over the next 20 to 20 years. We believe this app may also appeal to later stage pet owners based on our research. So some of the stakeholders are inexperienced pet owners or other pet owners, community veterinarians, and veterinary colleges will provide us with a lot of our research. How does it work? We'll use the best science-based health and wellness data from applying AI to our rich volumes of real pet health data in our system in Vetter, and the best research information from those Canada's 5 regional veterinary colleges into apps to provide detailed guidance to pet owners on things like finding the right pet for your lifestyle, traits of your specific pet based on their genetics, and et cetera. And so the next step is to prototype. So we're going to develop the prototype to learn if the solution works with the minimal effort and cost, trying to be fast and cheap, and build to think. We'll generate new ideas as we build, explain complex interactions because you can't explain them. It's very hard to explain them verbally. If I explain something complex to you, you'll have an image in your own head. But if we do something that you can see and feel and touch, it's much easier to explain. We can learn how we respond, how others respond to our prototype or ideas. And then we can start experimenting with the solution, get real feedback, and iterate and update based on what we learn. So some of the prototype that we can build for this challenge are like paper prototypes, like sketches, new journey maps, click-through prototypes, wireframes, storyboards, product description, feature sheets, even skits. We've had people do skits before. Anything that explains the idea. And here's a couple templates that you could use. So here's a storyboard. So in this case, starts with the customer experiencing the problem. She says, I'm excited about getting my first pet, but very anxious. Her friend says, try the new FurLife app. It has a ton of support for new pet owners. She downloads the app and finds out that it's got a lot of information on how to pick the right pet, finding a vet. She says it's wonderful. And then she's shopping for supplies for her new pet, meeting her vet for the first time with her new pet, and then, of course, frolicking with her pet in the sunshine on a sunny day, experiencing the benefit. Here's what the prototype, here's the prototype. So this is the what. This is what we're providing our customers with. So, for example, the guide app is the one that will provide them that journey guidance. So some research, how to pick your pet, how to prepare your home. This is even things like, should you get a pet? Or should you try something else? Should you try babysitting a pet first or fostering a pet first? Finding a vet, bring your pet home, all those things we talked about earlier. The Wellness Wizard is a different thing where it talks about your pet because we have all this information in our pet database, our vetter database. It talks about things like breed traits. So, for example, a Chorky is prone to knee issues, could be a surgery risk. And so what do you do about that? They're often not a fan of exercise, don't give up. And so these are all things that you can actually read up on and understand how you can deal with those issues. Also services like a smart scheduler, a pet service locator, click the chat function, and also a video vet service. So you can chat with your veterinarian, which is great. This academy is really terrific. This is our training academy, all YouTube videos, very specifically for pet owners, smart health information, and an FAQ chatbot. So that is our app right now, although I'll say also that we're building finance, store, and community apps as well. All right, so the next step is to test. So why are you testing? You want to see what they think of your idea, what people think of your idea, and you want to refine and flesh out the details based on your input you get from your customers. So you show them your prototype, and it's an interactive stage to get feedback. Does it solve the problem? You can use a prototype to really learn this. And actually, in a way, if you're testing in this challenge, you're trying to get feedback on the prototype from customers. And quotes are great, and judging is a test cycle in this challenge. So one of the things you can also do is use this thing called the learning card. And so in this case, we're trying to get some learnings from our assumptions. So we believe that young, modern, and experienced pet owners will appreciate the concept of a guided journey with research, choices, and nudging to help them prepare for the new pet, etc. And what we observed is they liked having so much research, science-based information. They also liked that the information cited scientific research references and yet was educational and light. They're surprised at how much information was there and that it actually had more information than that first 6 months we talked about. So, and then what we found was that these customers value, enjoy, and expect great technology and lots of trusted information. And they want to be all-star pet parents and care a lot about integrating their pet into their lifestyle. And so what we'll do from an action perspective is we'll give them more. We'll continue to give them more, and they're giving us lots of feedback. So if we listen to them, they'll tell us exactly what they value and we'll pay for them. Here's an example of another way of looking at testing. Here's just a pure app testing grid. So what do they like? What do they not like? What are their questions? Do they have any questions? And did they provide any ideas? So here's an idea. How about if the online store has loyalty rewards and deep discounts for group buying? And another great way of testing. So applying step 3 and in your challenge, you want to look at those insights and stimulus and diversity. Those 3 things together is where great ideas come from. You want to have other people solve similar problems. If so, how? You could look, for example, to human healthcare. Individual plus team ideation, give people time on their own and together. You want time box ideation. It can be a lot of fun, so people don't want to stop. Facilitation is important to get the most out of your team, and then select your idea and just start. And prototyping, you want to start rough, refine and polish for the pitch. Prototype only the most important parts. Don't show logging on, nobody cares. Diagrams, journey maps, and storyboards can help explain your solution, and use easy to use tools like Figma or Sketch or PowerPoint for your prototype. And then testing, you can test with those same customers you talked with in the early stages. Set up a test during your first interview. If you do find somebody, you can actually have just a simple couple questions to validate it meets the needs. You could use that grid we talked about. And then customer quotes help prove value of the solution in a pitch. And that's it for our training. We'll quickly talk about how do you do this in a design thinking in a 48-hour challenge, right from stem to stern. So you have 48 hours, you have to use it really well. You want to time box everything, because good and on time is better than perfect and late. You want to divide and conquer, assign roles and tasks on the project. You want to communicate, make sure everybody knows what everybody's working on and when you're working on it. Capture everything on your whiteboard to share information with each other. Keep your commitments to each other, your mentor and the challenge rep, and make sure you practice and record your pitch and can do it in 7 minutes. So here's a general guideline. So Friday night, you want to get on your empathize and define stage, and you want to, do like 1 to 3 hours of interview and research and reframing the problem, and then end up with a clear problem statement. Saturday morning, start an ideation, have the whole team together, take a couple hours and create and select the starting idea. On Saturday, then after that, in Saturday, split into 2 groups. One group work on the prototype, and the other group work on pitching. And then start to draft that pitch script and presentation. And one thing you could do is, as you're to prepare for this pitching, as you're working on your project, collect any insights and all that kind of stuff, and because they'll come in handy for the pitch. And then on Sunday, perfect your pitch in the morning. You got to have your pitch in whenever Christy says, and then you'll be pitching in the afternoon to judges. So use your mentors. They're there to help you. Ask for the guidance you need. Tell them if you're struggling, they'll help you. Establish how to reach them outside of schedule check-ins. They're not going to give you answers or produce anything for you, but they can ask questions to get you thinking and help set a path forward. And they can give you feedback on the prototype and the pitch. And so for the company interview, to get things started, you want to think about that challenge. Ask any questions you have about the challenge to get additional information you need. Do you have any questions about the supplemental information? Ask questions about the industry and the company. Ask about other stakeholder groups who are affected by the challenge area, like customer support or sales, etc. You want to utilize the business challenge rep as a proxy for the customer. They may have information on the customer they can provide you with, the customer profile or any of the pains they know about or unmet needs, if they know anything that they can help you with, and they can provide you maybe with some pricing insights. So why is it important? Why is solving this problem important to the company and the customer? And what if it isn't solved? And if you look at the case of Vetter in our case study, for example, that the veterinary health industry is growing rapidly and is very large, and yet Vetter isn't growing very quickly. And so that's a huge issue for Vetter, and that's one of the reasons that they have to do something. Also, one of their missions is to improve pet health. And so part of this is to make sure that they can help their current customers, their veterinarians, and their pet owners also. If they can help both sets, they can also improve pet health in Canada by helping both of those groups, especially during a time when they're struggling because of less pets more pets and less vets. And that is it for now. Thank you very much. Good luck in the challenge, by the way.